All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover a hidden multi-billion-dollar technology that is literally making the entire AI revolution possible. When we talk about the booming semiconductor market, the massive AI data centers, smartphones, EVs, we almost always focus on the chip designers or the giant foundries. But today, we're looking at the absolute linchpin of this entire ecosystem. It's a hidden engine that makes printing these microscopic miracles physically possible in the first place. Here's a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll hit 1. The chip's hidden engine, 2. Driving the photomask boom, 3. A $10 billion market, 4. Meet the market leader, 5. Plab's Q1 2026 financials, and wrap up with 6. The future of photomasks.
Section 1. The chip's hidden engine. So, when you think about giants like NVIDIA or TSMC, a pretty obvious question pops up. How on earth do they physically manufacture chips with features that are smaller than a virus? I mean, we are talking about transistors just a few nanometers wide. You obviously can't just draw that on a piece of silicon. You need a way to reliably project incredibly intricate patterns onto wafers at a massive scale, layer by agonizingly precise layer.
Well, the secret lies in a vital tool called the IC Photomask. Essentially, think of it as a highly advanced, flawlessly perfect stencil. It's a fused silica glass plate coated with materials like chromium. Light is projected through this mask, which holds the exact blueprint for one single layer of the integrated circuit. That light then transfers the pattern directly onto a photoresist-coated silicon wafer. Without these high-precision, entirely defect-free photomasks, making modern sub-10 nanometer chips would be literally impossible.
Now, what's truly staggering here is the sheer cost: $15 million. A single advanced 3-nanometer logic chip design doesn't just need one mask, it actually requires an 80 to 100 layer mask set. Depending on the complexity, an advanced mask set can cost upwards of $15 to $20 million, just in non-recurring engineering costs to initiate production. That is a massive, massive upfront investment before a single chip is even sold.
Okay, moving to Section 2, driving the photomask boom.
To understand what's happening right now, we have to look at the massive technological transition sweeping the industry. On one hand, we have DUV, or Deep Ultraviolet Photomasks. This is the legacy workhorse of the industry, and it still holds about 55.8% of the volume share handling the mature chip nodes. But on the other hand, we have the future, EUV, or Extreme Ultraviolet. Operating at a tiny 13.5 nanometer wavelength, these masks are incredibly difficult to manufacture. Just one EUV mask blank can cost $15,000 to $20,000 before it's even patterned. A finished EUV mask that can easily run from $150,000 to well over $300,000 a pop. Because of the intense demands of leading-edge chips, the EUV segment is growing at a rapid 9.1% compound annual growth rate.
So what's actually pouring fuel on this fire? Well, beyond just technology upgrades, the explosive surge in AI chip complexity from designers like NVIDIA, AMD, and Amazon is a huge driver. Then you've got the transition to even more advanced high-NA EUV lithography. Add to that the whole political landscape of global fab reshoring. The U.S. CHIPS Act alone unlocked over $400 billion in announced fab investments. When TSMC builds a new fab in Arizona or Intel expands in Ohio, they absolutely need a localized, robust supply of photomasks. Finally, the rise of chiplets and advanced packaging means lithography isn't just for the front-end die anymore. It's increasingly needed to package the chips together, which drives even more demand.
Section 3, a $10 billion market. Let's look at the actual numbers here. The global market was valued at $5.8 billion in 2025, driven by those specific catalysts we just talked about: AI, EUV adoption, global reshoring. It is rapidly on its way to hitting $9.7 billion by 2034. That's a very solid 5.9% overall growth rate. But keep in mind that high-end EUV segment within this is growing almost twice as fast. Unsurprisingly, the Asia-Pacific region absolutely dominates the current landscape, holding 52.7% of the market share. This makes total sense given the extraordinary concentration of manufacturing capacity there, namely TSMC in Taiwan and Samsung and SK Hynix in South Korea. However, North America holds a solid 22.4% and is quickly catching up, heavily supported by that massive influx of capital from the CHIPS Act.
All right, Section 4. Meet the market leader.
We know the giant foundries make some of their own masks, but who is the independent supplier to the broader industry taking advantage of these massive tailwinds? While mega-cap chip makers like Intel and TSMC have their own in-house, captive mask shops for their most secretive, leading-edge layers, Photronics stands alone as the premium independent or merchant supplier worldwide. They operate 11 strategically located manufacturing facilities across Asia, Europe, and North America, perfectly positioning them right next door to their major global customers.
Trading under the ticker symbol PLAB, Photronics was founded way back in 1969 and is headquartered in Connecticut. In fiscal year 2024, they generated roughly $920 million in revenue. What is absolutely crucial to their strategy right now is their active, aggressive expansion of EUV capacity in both the US and Asia to capture that high-margin growth. Also, a really vital part of their business to note isn't just logic chips. They are a major supplier of photomasks for flat panel displays, the screens used in all our modern electronics.
Moving on to Section 5, PLAB's Q1 2026 Financials.
So how is this technological dominance actually translating into financial performance for investors right now? While their operational strength is undeniable. Photronics released their Q1 2026 earnings on February 25th, and they comfortably beat Wall Street consensus on both the top and bottom lines. They brought in over $225 million in quarterly revenue. That's a 6.1% increase year over year. Their non-GAAP earnings per share came in at 61 cents against an expected 55 cents. On top of that, their operating cash flow was $97.3 million, making it the second highest in the company's entire history.
But hold on a second. To be thorough investors, we have to look beyond just the top and bottom lines. When a company is performing this well and the stock is up significantly, it's absolutely vital to look at what the executives inside the company are actually doing with their own personal shares.
Despite the strong financial beats, there's a clear bear case metric flashing right now: insider selling. According to recent SEC filings, over the last 6 months leading into the spring of 2026, there have been 25 open market insider sales of Photronics stock and absolutely 0 insider purchases. 0. Most notably, CEO George Macrocostas sold over 121,000 shares, cashing out roughly $5.2 million, which decreased his direct position by about 26%. The chief operating officer also sold heavily. Now sure, insiders sell for plenty of reasons: tax planning, diversification, but a complete absence of insider buying, coupled with heavy executive selling, that's a dynamic any retail investor should definitely factor into their thesis. Looking at the current timeline, all eyes are now on their next major catalyst. Following that stellar Q1 report in February, they announced on May 13th that their next earnings call will happen on May 28, 2026. For this upcoming quarter, management has guided for revenue between $212 and $220 million. The market is going to be watching very closely to see if they can maintain those impressive margins while navigating massive capital expansions.
Finally, Section 6, the future of photomasks. Where is this market going next? Well, just consider the sheer barrier to entry here. We talked about the high margins of EUV masks, but you can't just spin up a startup to compete. It costs between $500 million and $1 billion in capital investment just to build a single advanced EUV photomask facility. That incredible cost practically concentrates supply risk among a very small handful of global suppliers, essentially locking in the incumbents like Photronics against any new merchant competitors. And the technology? It's only getting more extreme. The industry is prepping for some massive upcoming shifts. First up is the rollout of high-NA EUV lithography. Because these tools have a higher numerical aperture, the masks require insane sub-nanometer accuracy. Early commercial runs of high-NA masks could cost up to $1 million per stencil. Second, the adoption of multi-beam mask writers to speed up the painstaking process of physically writing these complex patterns onto the glass. Finally, keep an eye on silicon photonics, the transition from copper electrical wires to optical light interconnects in massive AI data centers. Patterning these photonic waveguides requires entirely new, dedicated photomask sets, opening up yet another highly lucrative avenue of demand.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Knowing what you know now about the incredible complexity, the extreme multi-million-dollar costs, and the staggering $500 million facilities required to build this hidden engine, does this highly specialized hardware represent one of the safest, most impenetrable long-term economic moats in the entire AI boom? It is a fascinating question to consider as this semiconductor race accelerates. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.